Okay. Good evening, welcome to the December 12th, 2024 Ware Planning Board meeting. Our chairman has got some personal business tonight, so I'm filling in for him. So I'm going to appoint Jack Meany as a voting member for tonight. Everybody else is here. First on the agenda is a subdivision for Jonathan and Judith Richardson and Ray and Stephanie Richardson. Map 412, lot 155, Colby Road, in the residential zone. Thank you. Take a peek at the application. We got a couple of butters notices that people decided they didn't want. Looking at the checklist, it doesn't appear they're asking for any waivers. Do you have any more copies of the plans yet? Chuck?
No, I didn't. Not bring any extras.
Yeah, yeah.
I can run those to the machine.
Okay.
I can't run the big ones.
We get maybe two more?
I'd like one. Okay.
Three more. I have an extra full size with contours on it, if you want that. It's just
Yeah,
not hard
yeah,
to read.
yeah. Chuck and Best Bill can share that one.
Just a little busy. Yeah, I'll put stuff on it. Thank you.
There's a copy of the application if anybody wants to take a look at it. That's a pretty good size lot. Yeah, it's like 37 acres altogether.
Yeah.
38 almost.
3802, I think.
Yeah.
Stable Ferry didn't come, so I can't stay, but it could be.
Thank you.
extension.
What's the frontage on this two lots?
Add them all up, L 2, 3, 4, 5, L.
It's 172 and 105. The frontages?
Yeah. 172 on,
105.
okay. They both have enough acreage where they only need 50 feet.
Oh, that's right, 50 foot, right, yeah.
Yeah, they're over 10 acres apiece.
Yeah.
The application appears to be in order. Is anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the application as being complete.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Chuck, you want
Right.
to explain this to us?
Great, sure thing. Name is Jacques Belanger. I'm the surveyor that prepared the application for tonight's meeting. Should have brought a tripod. What we have is about 38.02 acres on Coley Road. And we're doing is breaking it up into two residential lots. The lot to the west, it'll be 21.37 acres and have 172 feet of frontage. The lot on the right will be 16.65 acres with 105.8 feet of frontage. It's taken us a minute to get here. We've been on this project for a while. There's a lot of wetlands on the property, which we've had mapped. And then, of course, we had to follow through with a wetlands permit for crossing two wetland areas, which took a little bit of effort to get across, but not the end of the world. So we did get the wetlands permit. That's in place already. We've been to the zoning board to get our variance for working within the wetlands buffer. That was approved a month or 2 months ago. And that leaves us where we are now. So we'll have one common drive going all the way back. It kind of meanders as it fits the land the best on both sides of the property line. On the second sheet is a detail of the description of the easement to get to that back lot. Altogether, it's somewhere about 700 or 800, about 800 feet to get to the second lot out there. But again, it's a common drive. It's really about it. There's not much that can happen back there. The two house sites are depicted as a well location. And once we're back there, there's no other impact to the buffers or wetlands. And the only state permit we need is the dredge and fill permits.
Say that again?
The only state permit we need is the dredge and fill, which
Okay.
we've already got.
You have a, obviously, it meets it with the side, but do you have a chart on here with the, usually we require the chart with the lot sizing by soil type showing it meets the minimum
We
requirements?
we did not. I don't think we've done that recently for any,
Yeah, we've been requiring that for everything.
all right, the last project we did, we weren't required to have that over on Sugar Hill. We had wetlands mapped and that was it. And the lots exceed, I mean, they
Well,
far
I know
exceed.
they do, but
Yeah.
it would be,
This
Is that something,
soil's down over here.
we get the soil types, but not site-specific soils. Is that what you're asking for?
you know, you get the soil type, that's fine. You just need a soil type, but we have a lot size by soil type chart in our zoning.
I don't think I've ever used it.
Well, you don't need to. I mean, they all, meet- as long as you've got some dry land on 5 acres, I'm sure it's gonna work. And you, it appears you've got plenty here, but just if you had that chart on here somewhere, proving that you had plenty.
Is that something we can add as a,
Yeah, it's in the,
but add as
oh, yeah,
a,
you can add that, yeah, yeah.
Okay, conditional approval, sure.
This proposed building area, is that the well radius, or is it?
That's just the well radius, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
once we get back there.
Yeah, you've got them labeled as proposed building area. These-
No, yes, you're right. That's what they are, 'cause they're too big for a well radius. That's a 100 scale plan. So
Yeah.
it's just a building site.
You throw a well radius on there too? Proposed
Sure.
well radius. How are we doing for monuments? Your L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, all your little stone wall segments out there?
Yeah,
You have any drill holes in them?
do they show drill holes?
No.
Probably not.
On the corners, that's this
Yeah, just the
found.
extremes, yeah. Probably not, they're just the angles in the walls.
Well, that driveway easement goes up and hits L9. Intersects L9. The driveway easement's that dashed line, right?
Yes, yeah.
That's not at the corner of L9 and L8 by any chance, is it?
No.
That would've been-
7 and 8 seem to be where the lot corner actually is.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't monument the easement, I don't think so, it's just where it falls.
Uh, I mean, we've required that any change in direction be marked.
Okay, we'll tend to it.
Sometimes a surveyor determines maybe he doesn't need quite so many changes in direction in a stone wall.
If we don't hit them, we miss them. It's pretty bad when you go up to set something and you miss the stone wall.
Yeah. It looks like you got the rest of the stone walls marked pretty good, just the one
Just
along the frontage, it's not.
Yeah, yeah, and again, it's a joggy piece of wall, and
Yeah, I see that, especially the one on,
towards the west is quite a
Yeah.
few anchor points, yeah.
yeah. Looks like there's about 8 corners need to be set. And you need, who did the wetlands delineation?
That was Josh Bryan, so I'll have to track Josh down.
Get his stamp on here?
Yep.
Okay, wetland scientist or soil scientist?
Wetlands.
Yeah, you get the certification note here, but you just. Do you have driveway agreement?
We can get that for legal to review, sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Any other board members? Any questions or comments?
Really minor, there's a typo in note number 8. It says, common driveway easement through wetland is spelled on here.
No, yeah,
Note 8, okay.
no L in the wetland. Have you, into the firewoods, there's no firewoods anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think they'd.
Been
do
to the
them
fire
all.
chief about the driveway?
It's done, it's in your lap now.
Oh,
No, there's no firewood, so you.
yeah, I know, there's fire chief though, but for NFPA, we're not, he's not reviewing
I
that,
sent him over a copy. I got
and you
nothing.
didn't hear a word back.
You got a conservation one back, you got, I think, the police one back.
You have a note on here about the, NFPA driveway requirements?
Nope, probably not.
It's probably the cleanest way to do it, is put a note right in the plan saying driveways to comply with. If they got a wetlands permit, then the Conservation Commission's already kind of looked at it under that application. Nobody else has anything, I'll open it to public comment. Any abutters present? Yep. You want to step up and state your name?
Yes, my name's William R. Dion. I'm the property owner of lot 156, 320 Colby Road. I'm an abutter of 155 lot. And I've been in town since 1985. I really do believe in owners' rights to develop their land for home ownership, and while staying compliant with federal, state, and local codes. And as best I can tell, they're following the process. So I'm more of an advocate. I have nothing more to say. I appreciate all the work you do for the town and for the state, and for our country. So I have nothing else to add.
Okay, well, we appreciate all comments, whether for or against, that's great, thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll close it to public comment. We else have any comments or anything? No. No, he's got some clerical things to put on here, we'll call it. The driveway agreement, which needs to go to legal for review, and the applicant needs to pay for the
Yep.
attorney bill for that, along with recording the agreement. The soil scientist stamp on here, set some bounds.
You also asked for the well radius.
Yep,
and the
well
soil
radius.
type percentages.
Lot size by soil type charts. But, so once those are on the plan, I mean, it's nothing, I don't believe the plan board needs to review as a board again.
Were you suggesting that stone wall needed no markers?
Yeah, he needs all these marks, he needs drill holes in here,
Oh, they're already there.
he needs to put them in. He needs to put them in,
Oh, he does.
yeah, or bond them. But it's, and he's got one out here, missing out here at the knee out here.
Sure, yep. Those are just pins, right?
Yep.
Rebars, caps.
And the others are right along the road, those are fairly easy to get to. So does anybody care to make a motion?
Make a motion, we give them conditional approval, and wait for the clerical things that have to be done that have just been listed, as far as the stamp from the soil scientist, and driveway easement, paperwork to legal, et cetera.
And set the bonds, set the bounds.
Yeah, and set the bounds.
Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Comments?
Just one question going back to you asked about hearing from the fire department about the driveway. That sounds more like our side, but,
Yeah, he's gotta add a note on here about that.
so I just, that's distinct from the driveway agreement though.
Yes,
So I just wanted to call
Yep.
that out.
yeah, the note's gonna be about the driveway geometry, meeting town NFPA standards, which is what the town uses.
Yeah, over a certain length, width,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, it's all-
grades,
it's all in that.
if there's any type of grades.
Plus, I think there's a required pull-off at like 400 feet.
Yeah,
Yep,
Yep,
yeah. So the trucks can pass.
same wave.
yeah, that's why, that driveway, you might even need two of them.
Now we'll do one. One's enough.
One's enough.
Yeah, they could shake hands.
Well, that's
on the way by.
798 feet there, that one line.
You're in a new minute taker, so could you, one more, no, she's listening, but can you clearly state things that you need so that?
Sure, I'll review it needs to be, the driveway agreement needs to be reviewed by our legal counsel, and fees paid by the applicant. And the recording fees for that need to be paid by the applicant. We need a soil scientist stamp and signature on the plan. He's gotta set 9 monuments, corners. The well radius, the 2 well radii need to be on the plan. Lot size by soil type chart need to be on the plan. A note regarding town of Ware driveway regulations needs to be on the plan. Note 8 needs to be corrected. We need a Mylar and how many copies? 4 copies.
When you say the driveway, is that an FPA as well?
Yes. Yeah, in the note.
I'm gonna be the one that deciphers with her, so.
Okay. All in favor of that motion and second? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Great, hey, thank you for your time.
I got one marked up here, Naomi, so.
Thanks, John.
Thank you all for your service.
Yeah.
Been here since '85.
I'm Ryan. Yep, I know John.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Okay. Next thing,
Conceptual, it wasn't on there.
yeah, I guess I think we've got somebody here for a discussion, right? We've got somebody here for a conceptual discussion, I guess. Come up, Ron. Before we start, no, Ron, come on up. I prepared a septic plan for this guy, for this application, so we're not voting on anything here, we're just discussing things. I mean, if the board feels I need to step down, I'll do that. If you're okay, there's no vote happening, so there's no.
We good?
Yeah,
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Ron Wascott. We live on Boyce Road. Let's start from the beginning. In 2003, Everett gave us a building permit for our garage. Old time. It was supposed to be office/apartment on the second story. Well, he put it in as office/storage. I didn't notice it, didn't care at the time, I guess. So eventually we ended up putting an apartment upstairs for my grandson, years ago. So now we're going to add 2 bays on the bottom of the garage and put another bedroom up top to be the new bedroom. The old one is still going to stay a 1-bedroom apartment. And it's a detached garage, and the town has this thing against being detached, but the state says, well, you know, let's get through this. That's why we're here. The zoning board kind of ran us around the other day and made no decision, you know. They said, you got to go talk to you guys. So it's going to be a 5-bay garage when it's done. It's already a 3. It's only got 600, a little over 600 square feet. Actually, the existing is 688, and we're going to add 640 because it's a big, just an ensuite. That's all that's going up there. And the original bedroom leaves and turns into a living room as we renovate it. So we're trying to get approvals to get it done. You know, we've got it built as a structure, you know, with storage structure, the new addition part. But we want to get it done the right way. We're trying to, you know, dot our i's and cross our t's and keep nobody, you know, so nobody's upset. You can't even see our garage from the street. It's almost 400 feet off the road, up into the trees. We have 15 acres. I have the biggest piece of property on my road. The house is in the middle of it, so we don't have any issues with wetlands, we don't have any issues with setbacks, neighbors, and all that. So we're just trying to keep everybody happy. And it needs, you know, and I know that there's some more changes coming to the ADU laws, but at the moment, It's supposedly just attached. I mean, if we had to, I guess I could put a covered walkway between the house and the garage, makes it covered. But, you know, we want to make it right. And we had Brewster design a new septic system for us, so there's no problems there. That was just preventive strike,
This
you
is
know.
gonna be about a 1,300 square foot building when you're over.
Yeah, when it's done, yeah, because the garage is already 42 feet long. But when you consider your walking space, you understand, under the eaves and all that, you don't have that much. And the new room is 640 walkable feet. With gonna have a little patio, a little deck out the back for, actually gives us our egress points. Built better than the other garage, because it's higher, bigger, now the new codes are 12, 12-inch, ceiling joists and all that, roof rafters, so we get more R factor in it. 2x6 construction, not 2x4. So it's, being built up to code. But we just want to make sure that we need to get the paper trail straight.
After I heard what the ZBA had to say, I watched their meeting the other night. I think you've got two different directions you could go. One, you could continue to go down the ADU path, which you need two variances for. One because it's detached, and the other one because of the size of it.
Yes.
However, I don't think you need to do that. They're both on frost-protected foundations, so you can actually connect the buildings.
With a walkway of some
A
kind.
walkway or something,
Yeah,
and then you can make it a duplex, because you've got plenty of land.
right.
You'd meet all the zoning requirements to put a duplex there, and you don't need to go to the ZBA at all.
That would be a bonus. They didn't impress me.
But, because, to get the two variances from them for the detached and the oversized is gonna be a hurdle.
But
I
isn't that the point?
It is the point, but
And
he's
you're
got
trying to-
another,
but
but
you're
he's got
trying to
another path
sidestep
that
it.
he can take.
But, I mean, you've acknowledged that it already doesn't meet what we allow, and you're trying to continue doing that.
But he could turn it into something we do allow, which is a duplex.
I think
By connecting it to
I-
the other building, it's now a duplex.
I would like that to be confirmed, more than just during a conceptual here.
No, that would need to be, absolutely. I mean, I was looking through the definitions of duplex here, and there's nothing in here.
It just sounds like a mighty convenient sidestep. And
It's an avenue for him to explore.
Well, the planning board can't authorize him to do anything.
No, we can't author him to do anything. I'm just telling him what he needs for variances if he wants to go with the ADU route, which we all agree it's 750 square feet and attached, and it's neither.
Yeah. May I make a statement? The New Hampshire Municipal Association says do not limit your space to 750 feet. It's right on the website.
Yeah, but the state law does not say you have to go over, you have to, the state law says you can't make it, you cannot restrict it to anything less than 750 square feet.
Right, can't be restricted to less than that, correct.
So, but the town has restricted it to 750, so that's what the town rule, I mean, what the municipal association says really, it's good guidance, but it's not.
Right,
And the state,
and,
the town has a stricter rule than it trumps the state law.
No, our rule meets the state law.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if you're
750.
saying you can't go over 750.
The state, you can go over 750, but the town doesn't.
But it says the town, so
Yeah.
the town
Right.
trumps the state at this point.
and I know they've got this, I guess there's a new law, new law is coming out for the double ADUs. You can have two now, so one's gonna be detached anyways.
Well, they proposed that last year, it passed the House, didn't pass the Senate.
But it's in there now, so we'll see what happens if it passes, if it goes through this.
I got a feeling it's
But
gonna
it is
pass.
not the current law, and that's what we
That's
were
correct.
saying last year, and it didn't pass then.
Right. Yeah, there's no dispute, that's not the current law, right. They propose all they want, but it hasn't passed yet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once the governor signs it, then it's a different story.
Right. So I think you've got two approaches here. It's kind of up to you on which one to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if I have to, I could make a breezeway to the,
But you need to, like Salim suggested, you really need to confirm that with the building inspector, but he's the ultimate judge of that if it passes as a duplex.
because they made the comment the other night that it was, oh, it's two houses. Well, it's not two houses. It is a garage, and I don't care how you look at it. It's got big doors under the bottom of it. It's a garage. So that's why we're here, just to kick it around a little bit.
I think that's also, I don't know, the whole thing seems a little fishy, honestly. And to say, to make a statement like that, you could just as well say it has people living in it, so it's a house. I think we need to not look at whatever definitions we make up, but what are the definitions that we have in the code? What are the requirements we have? Not, does it have big doors? I'm sorry.
Well, he's only restricting the living quarters to upstairs, which he had a permit from.
He didn't have a
Or
permit for the living
semi-
quarters. He never, the
Never
problem is
for
he
living, it
didn't.
was an office.
Right.
Yeah, and when Everett was supposed to, well, whatever, that's 23 years ago.
23 years ago. So I mean, the thing of it is that, yeah, a garage does not constitute a house. If they're living upstairs, and that's some type of residence or apartment. And there's all types of definitions and
You know,
stuff
and I
like
mean,
that. So I mean, the
Our
thing of it
definitions are
is.
kind of quiet on that, what actually a duplex is, and
What is a
So-
duplex? That's a good question.
it's kind of, because our definition here doesn't have anything in it, it's really, I think, up to the building inspector to
Yeah.
interpret that at this point. I mean,
If you connect it together, you know.
you see duplexes like
Could be.
with garages in between them, with breezeways in between them, you know,
Yeah.
that they,
Yeah.
but they're still called duplexes.
Duplexes.
So it all
Yeah,
depends, I mean, I guess,
I just saw.
like I said, it's up to the building inspector at
Why
this point.
couldn't it be a accessory dwelling unit? And they connect it. It could also be,
Well, it's missing the adjoining door, right? There's an adjoining door requirement for a special exception for accessory dwellings. It's too big.
okay.
I mean, I've seen,
You know, if it was smaller, you know, then maybe, but I think it's,
So it has to become a duplex, maybe.
if, otherwise you gotta get multiple variances.
Okay.
So I should talk to Steve about saying it's a duplex?
That's what I would suggest.
Okay.
his idea of the definition is.
That's simple. Steve's a nice guy to deal with. He's nice and pleasant.
And he may tell you just exactly what you need to do to connect it to, it is connectable because the foundations are frost, they're frost protected
They're all,
foundations.
yeah, it's all
It's not like
frost
you've
wall.
got a s-
Yeah,
Alaskan slab and a foundation, you can't connect those buildings.
right, no, but this has a full foundation, yeah, the
Just,
4 foot
again,
wall.
I just because the town's been down this kind of road before, we went from, this is a conceptual, we're not gonna take a vote, you didn't step away, and then you both seem to present the same off-the-wall idea, a little strange, of connecting a breezeway, and then here we are saying, well, we don't even need to make a vote, because you're gonna be able to do it on your own. It's all just a
Well-
little bit,
We're not making a vote. I'm just,
because of a very helpful, somewhat coincidental,
you may
not even a
think
decision.
it's coincidental. I came up with it after I watched the zoning board meeting personally. I didn't talk to Ryan, I've talked to Ryan about this since I did the design for him.
okay?
The ordinance at 750 square feet, it's like living in something in Cold Spring, Soldier.
Well, I
These
know,
little tiny little places, you can't do that with two people. I mean, with Daniel's living there, it's okay, the one little bedroom, you know what I'm saying? It's great for one person and his dog. There's not enough room for two people to get a little space.
That's what we have to deal with, though. That's our ordinance.
Yeah, whoever wrote it. All right. I'll talk to Steve tomorrow.
And it is apparently just my opinion that I don't know that the building inspector should be the sole determinant of opening up the floodgates to this path, because this, if we do this right now, then you are gonna start seeing duplex after duplex after duplex.
No, because you need certain lot sizes. You gotta have double the lot size for a duplex. It's not that easy. He has a 14-acre lot, so he can do it.
Yep,
Somebody on a 3, 4, 5-acre lot can't do it.
yep, okay. There are plenty of large
There's
lots. in this
reasons
town.
why the lot sizes are like that for duplexes.
Well, is it such that he could subdivide his lot, have two lots, and then he's golden?
You can do it that way too.
I don't think it meets setbacks, the buildings are too close together.
Again, there are, we have you're boxing in that this shouldn't be done so many different ways, but you're trying to thread this very fine needle, which I think shouldn't be done. I think this is improper, and
Is the present bedroom above the,
Yes.
space above the garage?
Totally above the
recognized on your
garage.
tax card?
No, I guess not, well, I don't know how the tax card reads,
Well, you've got 3 bedrooms in the main house.
yes.
So that's all it lists.
so are you gonna start paying taxes on this part?
You think they're not gonna stick it to me? Of course I'm gonna pay taxes.
And he pulls a permit,
Yeah,
building permit, they're gonna.
yeah.
Didn't happen last time.
Yeah, he had a building permit the last time.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying as soon as he pulls the permit, then they'll get him, but they didn't do it last
The permit
time.
will be this time, 'cause
Yeah, now,
now.
means I'll have to put up with Avatar one time. Suggestions, we good for tonight? What do you think, Bruce? You gave me your opinion.
I think we're good.
All right, then we'll do a little bit of looking here.
Is the zoning board supposed to get back to you with a decision or?
No,
Okay.
well, we don't want to go there. They told me to come to here, because they didn't,
So they passed the buck.
they were passing the buck.
Okay.
Well, what choice did they have?
Well, they could have made a decision. They told them all it is for a variance, is that it's just a building with big doors under it. You know, that's kind of a.
So this is another one. If they sent you
kind of a
here, if you
ludicrous
sent,
statement.
but if they sent you here, none of us have any official understanding of why you were sent here, or at least I don't. I don't know if you do, or if you do.
Except
Sounds
for
like
what
the
we
two of
do.
you might.
I didn't watch the ZBA meeting.
Right, so all of a sudden, you were sent over here, we're not clear why, the majority of us are not clear why, and yet you get to walk away with a decision of the board. I don't think this is being handled correctly.
We didn't make a decision, we gave him some guidance on what to
He
do.
came here for conceptual.
Some guidance where he
That's not
doesn't
a
need
decision.
a decision.
So
No,
what's wrong with that?
we didn't make a decision. We didn't vote on anything. It's a conceptual
Yep,
talk.
okay.
Basically, it's a talk.
If
He's not getting any
If the building
approval.
inspector says, no, it's not a duplex, then he's gotta start,
Go back to,
Sure. Okay. I'll believe it when I see it.
so you're saying that the fix is in. That's what you're alleging. It sounds like you're alleging to the rest of us that the fix is in with the building inspector.
I'm saying that I don't think, because it's the exact same thing, that you're all laughing about the ZBA passing the buck here, you're passing the
And that was
buck
their job,
over to
so
the
they
building
didn't do
inspector.
their job and they threw it
For
to us. So
what?
are we
That's my
supposed to
point.
do?
What was their job? What did they come
To
over?
give him, he asked for a variance.
I didn't watch it. I don't know what was decided. Why did they come here? Why did he
Because
come
they
here?
sent him here.
They asked.
Why?
They asked me to pull my stuff away and come here.
For what?
For what reason?
For guidance, I guess. I mean, look, let me tell you, like I said to them, you pick up this, I said, I'm not a lawyer, this is a bunch of crap, you know, you have to put up with, you know, it's not real,
It's
you
the
know.
law. It's the rules. We do have to put up with it. That's why we're here.
Well, okay, but here's the deal. He came here by their saying so to come before us for a conceptual.
Is that what they said?
That's what he said. He saw it.
Probably watch it right on the screen if you wanted to.
YouTube.
Right, but that's my point, is he came in here, we don't know.
Well,
I would say
how many
we should
times do
figure
we
out
know
what
when
was
we
needed.
don't know what they send us? We don't.
That's a problem.
Never seen it
Well,
happen.
then you're the selectman, then get the rest of the board to start paying attention to it.
The problem's right here, right now.
Well-
I'm trying to get this board to pay attention to
We
it.
pay attention to it, they send it to us. What do we want, what are we supposed
What
to do?
did they send to us?
Sent this gentleman to us with a
For
conceptual design.
what?
Conceptual talk, basically he comes in, it's not binding, he's coming in and bringing it forward to us and asking for any type of guidance we can give. That's what this is about.
that's what conceptuals are.
You're
People come in
supposed
here
to
and
know
ask us
this,
any
you're the selectman's representative to this board.
People can come up with ideas on how to use their property and come in with
Conceptual
conceptual
ideas.
request for anything. Any guidance about how, if we think it meets zoning, if,
Come in to run a business outside, a household business, they come before us with a conceptual design.
Well, I think, if
And
nothing
it
else,
doesn't meet the requirements in the zoning
we
ordinances.
should have had a
If not, we're
document
gonna
here
go to the
showing
ZBA.
what, it would have been nice to have something to look at Because what kind of,
I understand what you're saying.
Bringing it,
You know, all I have is my application, that's all I have, so.
Which we haven't seen that either.
Doesn't come to us. It went to the ZBA. We didn't get an application
Just the
because he's
ZBA
not
application
applying
is
for
ready.
anything.
What's that?
That's the ZBA application you've got, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
what did you applied for something at ZBA that,
Well, I went because I said, look, I gotta go for the various, you know, for the size, and because of the apartment up there now is detached, so, well, you go, a variance and whatever they want me, it's, you know. So I said, all right, we'll just do it, and we tried, you know. You try and be above board, you know, the town's gonna benefit by far.
how do you figure that?
You wanna see my tax bill? It's gonna go up.
We all pay taxes, sir.
No, my tax bill's gonna go up for what I'm doing on my property.
Not for the, how long's it been there?
I've been here for 25 years.
How long's the apartment been in there? It hasn't been taxed.
Probably 18 or 19 years of that, maybe not, 15 maybe.
Boy, with at least 18 years, that's better than I ever did.
Well, I'm trying to fix it. And sir, how long have you been in town?
Sorry.
Is that a viable question?
Sure.
I've been here for 25 years. How long have you lived in town?
Couple years?
Do you know where my street even is?
I do, because I looked.
Yeah, you had to
Oh,
look
no,
it up.
Sorry, that was the last one. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but you know, I asked if people
Because I
like Chuck.
don't know,
Chuck's been
because
here
we
his whole
haven't talked
life.
about your road.
You know.
What road, again, we have nothing in front of us.
All right. We're trying to do it right.
So in the end, it's still gonna be a one apartment
It's
unit.
going to be one apartment, one bedroom. Nothing is changing other than the square footage of it. You know what I'm saying, upstairs.
And the two garages.
Yeah, and that's not an issue anyways, the two garages, yeah. I'm 242 feet from my closest property line, so I'm not bothering anybody.
How far off the road?
About 400 feet. You can't even see my house. That was the reason we bought the 15 acres, it was nice and private. And put the house way back there. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ron.
I'm sure I'll be hearing. Thanks. Have a good night, guys. Have a good holiday.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Next on the agenda is,
Master plan update. Update from the master plan subcommittee.
She's just watching.
oh, okay. I just
Just an observer.
didn't know if you had anything you needed to,
No, just want to see how
She's
the meeting's
observing.
going.
okay. Update from the master plan.
You've been submitted the final draft of the Ware Master Plan Survey for 2025, which needs your approval before we go to the next step of implementation.
You didn't want that tonight, did you?
No, I sent it out in the email on the 21st of November. So you have a digital copy of this. In the discussion just earlier, Frank was asking questions about how those some of the details would unfold on the document. As an example, he was referencing question 20 with a list of town facilities and services, that once you clicked on that, a drop-down box would give you detail as to how to vote or how to rate those issues. So this is ultimately going to be an electronic document on SurveyMonkey, available to the populace at some point in time, whether we send a QR code or a link to the survey via bills or included in the tax bill or sent directly to every resident in town.
Well, you
It's
know,
something that, as
I
far as
didn't
the-
mean to.
as far as the means for us implementing the questionnaire. There was discussion as to next steps as well, and the people who served on the committee are willing to continue in that role if that's the will of this body. There are some things that can be done by that committee or even this full committee that are unrelated to this survey that are part of the master plan that can be updated without community input, like demographics, et cetera. There are demographic questions as far as a respondent profile in here, but that wasn't designed to have a full representation of the demographics of our community.
Okay, well, well,
But I don't, I know we've got a lot on the docket for tonight and our next few meetings for zoning amendments, so I'm not,
Well, I mean, I think what we need to do, I guess, is go over this, suggest, or ask questions. I guess the one thing that bothers me a little bit, being I'm older than dirt, I've never really mastered computers. So I don't know how
so we're
many
gonna do both and.
Yeah.
We've discussed, so as an example, your question of that one question of 20 in a printed document available to whoever wants to fill out a printed document, all those fine details would be blown out for them to rank. The whole purpose of the overarching view of the whole document is to have everything consistently representing the same type of evaluation, as opposed to one set of evaluations, it's 5 points, another it's 3 points, another it's 2 points, and that's kind of how the original document was put together. So we wanted to make it more streamlined and more consistent, so you weren't changing your evaluation process in your head when you went from question to question to question. So there'd be some consistency in how you're evaluating things. And again, consistently before us, when we discussed this and developed this, was to make sure that every question was not leading for a view we were holding, or this board is holding, that we really want honest responses from the constituency rather than manipulating a thought process for them based on a question. So they're designed to be benign in nature, in order to be clearly discerning for understanding the will and direction of the community. Which, again, it's a survey, it's not, your response or an individual's response does not make it law. It still needs to be processed with the overall perspective of what needs to take place, and then evaluate those, every division or component of the document, and how it relates to proper planning for the future. But I think you made a good point, Frank. We expect you to go through this and say, I wonder what this
I mean,
means.
I wouldn't be comfortable just saying, well, that's great. 'Cause I really haven't
No,
looked at
we
it
don't
yet.
expect that.
Okay.
We're not looking for a rubber stamp.
I
Never were.
just went through the questions, I can tell you that, you know, you look at a lot of these surveys, and I've seen them in business and everything else, it's always like one question leads into the next one, and then if you answer the next one, it says, wow, that kind of almost cancels the one before it, and it's like you said, but I just looked through and they seem all, like you said, benign, they're all,
Right. Well, there was a whole
Going a whole-
division, there was a whole section from the original document that was more like a survey overview of everything that followed it. And we felt that it was superfluous. Why, all those questions in that one area were already addressed in every other question in the rest of the document. So why ask the question twice?
yeah, and then to get two different answers, you know,
Yeah.
one cancels out the other, it's like,
So,
you know.
so that's part of our approach, is to be sure, not only benign, but we're not repeating ourselves. In other words, we ask the question this way this time, and next time we ask it this
Yeah,
way,
no.
and then we ask it this way, and, well, that's deceiving.
Yeah,
And
you
we
get-
didn't wanna have
yeah,
that.
it's like having trick
perspective.
questions.
Yeah, and to our knowledge, there's no trick questions. You know, we-
I just read through this quick, and I mean, looking at all, I'd seen it, some of it already, but it's like, this, you know, to me, it's pretty much on point.
You know-
Very, very direct in each individual question.
But I would suggest that, you know, that's why I sent it out as soon as it was approved on the 20th, I sent it the 21st, for you to peruse, not to say we had to get it done tonight, but we want to, I also want us, in evaluating it, to be sincere, but also to recognize, we want to get this accomplished in a timely fashion, that we just don't put this on the back table, oh, I didn't get to it. No, you need to get to it, because we're mandated, we're already 15 years behind in its implementation.
Number one, the item number one. Here's what kind of struck me. It says, are you a resident of Ware? Well, I don't think we should have non-residents of Ware even filling it out. So,
Well, if someone's paying taxes in Ware, whether they're paying business tax or property tax, shouldn't they have a say?
I suppose it should.
And that's what that represents. So you may not have
Yeah, the
a,
only thing is, that's good as far as it goes. But 20 people that have no connection with Ware could fill it out. Just say, I'm not a resident of Ware.
not if we police how they receive the information,
How do you do that?
because they have to pay taxes, we put it in the tax bill. There's a reference to say, okay, you have two options here. You can go online and start filling out the survey, or you can request a hard copy of this and email or mail it to only residents. I know there's residents in town who call themselves Wareites and they don't own property. I'm one. I don't own any property.
We'll forgive you.
Huh?
We'll forgive you.
Okay,
I mean, there's renters, I mean.
that's what I mean.
When I
There are
first-
renters or
When I first
leasers.
came here 20-some odd years ago, I was sent here, and I rented, because I didn't, at the time, you know,
Right,
young.
but see, we've talked about
Yeah,
all
but a
that. How does that
renter
all
is a
work?
resident. A
Yeah,
renter is a
oh, yeah.
resident.
That's right.
If your license says Ware, New Hampshire,
You're a resident.
you're a resident. But you may own property on the lake, you may own property on the mountain, you know, there's people on Tiffany Hill that don't live there, they own property.
Well, back in the day, they had those, that timeshare deal at
Yeah.
Coleman's Cottages, I mean,
Yeah, and we have property off of Mountain Road
and they didn't own all of it, but they
and
had a
Cram
piece of
Road,
it, so.
people own property, they live in West Virginia.
Yeah,
There's 300 taxpayers and campgrounds.
Yeah,
There's
Yeah,
300 plus taxpayers and campgrounds.
correct.
yeah, that, with the,
And that would be a secondary residence.
yeah. You get the, you know, you get that, the old campground up there, and
Well,
the name of the one we had all the problems with, but yeah, them, and then you get, you know, some of them that consider themselves taxpayers when they're down at Cold Springs, because they pay
Correct.
taxes on that,
Yep.
that lot, because they.
And that's within their means to, and we talked about we want every voting adult, anyone over 18 as it's, in the introduction identified as, that would have the opportunity to fill this out.
Yeah.
So we know that some of the demographic stuff that this asks might be multiplied, which is why the other demographic research that we can do electronically now is probably the better understanding of where that real reality is, as opposed to whoever might answer this. Because it's gonna be a greater number than, you know, I mean, we had, 300 responses the first time. We're hoping to have more than that in order to be discerning about the direction to take.
well, let me get back to my first question. So number one, I answer, I'm a non-resident. Number two, do you own or operate a business? No. It seems like this is the type of person that probably shouldn't be filling this, I haven't had an opportunity.
Well,
Well, I think you have to go to
if-
number 3 after that, the third question. Do you own,
Other.
rent, or other?
Other.
Yeah.
So that doesn't tell you much either.
Well, it could be, up
Yeah,
at-
but how are they getting the document in the first place?
like, he could be seasonal at Cold Springs, because he doesn't register his camper, so it's now sitting there and it gets taxed, so he gets a tax bill.
I don't know, I mean, maybe I'm being picky, overly picky. I'm not
No,
gonna say that.
no, we,
Well, it's
I
a valid
understand.
question. I think that's a-
We've talked in length about that concept. How do we, not so much police, but how do we safeguard just a random person picking this up? And we would, if, for instance, we posted it on the town webpage, that this is available to town residents to fill out, there needs to be some type of verification that you are a resident of Ware, New Hampshire in order to fill it out, so that you're not getting random.
Yeah, you're not getting,
Random things.
it's not like somebody's stacking the deck, you know,
Right.
against.
So I'll use an example from our church. We have a prayer line, and you can fill out a prayer request on our website. And if it automatically went to the congregation, we'd be doing a disservice to our congregation and the person who's asking for prayer. Primarily because we get some really bizarre things that come through of what you want to pray for. And they're from people from the other side of the world who happen to come along our website and said, I want to do this. So any prayer request that goes through our website gets policed by me to discern whether this is something we should be praying for or not. Because there are some very, like I said, very bizarre things that come through that are not conducive to what we believe or what our congregation would be even interested in praying for. And so those types of things need to be, policed. So we know what's the term we use? The execution of this, is that the word we want to use? Is still to be worked out. We have some ideas, but when we start down the road of ideas, a question that I want to ask us as a board and ultimately the select board, if you look at the report from the 2004 survey, and at the end, the actionables list who's responsible for what actions to take place. And everyone that deals with the planning board says, planning board budget, planning board budget, planning board budget. And there's at least 30 representations there. Planning board doesn't have a budget.
We tried one time.
Okay, so when we started looking at the initial response as far as mailing this to everybody, and Danny Jean put me on a link, I looked up the link and I put in a guesstimate of how many we would send out. I said 4,000. It's less than that as far as households. It's like 3,600 or 3,750 or something in that. So I put in 4,000, and it's over $5,000 to mail that out. So when we come to ask for money at a warrant and everybody says no, well, then we give up. Well, I don't want to give up because we don't have the money to, I'll come down and lick stamps. I'll donate the stamps to send 5,000 things out if necessary. But the point is that this needs to happen in a timely fashion. Because otherwise, we're going to sit on this for another 5, 10 years, and then our zoning is being so outdated, we're not going to be a healthy community.
Well, I guess no matter what you did, there's always an opportunity for somebody that really isn't involved to answer it.
Right, but that will be put into the mix of everybody. It's not like I'm gonna say, oh, I can tell by how he answered, this is Frank.
Good.
But I wanted, you can't. There's no possibility to identify an
Unless you put
individual.
your name on it.
Yeah, unless you put your name on it.
Pretty close. How old are you? Never get what I was thinking, you gotta write down.
Oh, you're not on there, Frank.
That's all right.
Nothing that says older than dirt, so.
All right,
But I understand your concern. And it's, again, we're not looking for a rubber stamp, we're looking for conscientious approval so that this can go forward.
well, I doubt
So-
if there would really be a problem with non-residents, to be honest with you. Why would they do it? It just seems the
Right,
opportunity might
right,
be there.
right.
Unless they take concern for their whatever property
Or,
they
or,
own here, even
or
though they're not
the way it
residents.
works out, if you're a secondary resident here, you like the campground, it's a secondary resident, it's not your primary residence, automatically, that information is gonna be set aside, at least I would understand that from
Or if you have a
Survey
cottage
Monkey,
at the lake
that it
or
would
something like
be
that,
set aside, that's not that's that person, that's that type of situation. So we have that category automatically separated out because of the answer to that question.
How do-
So it
how
wouldn't
do-
influence the residents, per se, as primary residents, it would influence only secondary residents.
Once this is filled out, we have all the data in our graph. Now, how do you interpret,
That's the hard part.
that's the hard part.
That's our, I mean, I wouldn't say it was difficult. I think the team we put together did a very good job of sorting through what the questions needed to be looked like, and that went well. We know that the interpretive part is gonna take some time. It's not like it's gonna sit down with 2 meetings and interpret the whole thing. But most of the interpretation will be able to be, not weeded out, but disseminated in the sense that the Survey Monkey component will help us with that.
Well, I give you high marks for what you've done, and the people, it had to be a chore. Something that should have been done long ago, I guess.
Right.
And to attempt to do it with no funds is the second hurdle.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I believe it's possible.
No, I think
Even
so,
if I
too.
have to stand out at the front of the town hall with a coffee can and say, hey, give a donation for, or go down to 3 corners like the ball teams.
Sell
Good
popcorn.
idea.
No, you're
Sell
better off at
popcorn or
Dunkin'
whatever.
Donuts, stand out there with
Yeah.
between the drive-through and those
Yeah.
coming in, you get them
Yeah.
for both sides.
Right.
If everybody wants to take a look at it, and,
Yep.
Yeah, it needs to be on the agenda, I guess, for a while, and
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get through it.
and just to back up a little bit of what Pastor Bill said, I think we had talked about 4 phases. The first one is done, putting the review together, or I'm sorry, the survey for review. Phase 2 is this board reviewing it. That's what we're talking about now. And then it would be meeting back to decide how to send it out. And then, well, I guess it's 5 phases if you include sending it out, and then finally reviewing the data that comes back. So when we talked about kind of the rough timeframes that pans out, I think we talked about, correct me if you disagree, that with the December, January schedule of the planning board, that if we could get approval by February and reform the previous subcommittee again in February, then we'd be kind of on track for continuing the next few phases.
Yeah, because if we were to use the dynamic of the tax bill as far as just putting a piece of paper in there, then that's July, right?
And
Mail
yeah,
it out Memorial Day.
Memorial Day, so that's May, so that gives us February to May to figure out what the dynamic looks like as far as Screen Monkey, not Screen Monkey, Survey Monkey. I get the monkeys mixed up.
To get that together, yeah.
Yeah, so that will give us the time to accomplish that. We know that the survey is technically, hopefully, done in 2025, but we're still looking at 2026 as far as implementation of a new document.
So, the next item is for the planning board to go through this,
Correct.
see what, and then what we come up with goes back to your committee.
Correct. If there's needs to be changes, we'll make those changes. And then we'll go from there. But that if we need to be reinstated, quote unquote, because we fulfilled our mission. We need a new mission.
Thanks for your, both of you.
You're welcome.
And who else was on it?
Salem, Dan Walden,
Wandell,
Waddell,
Wandell?
Wandell, sorry, and Phil
I don't know.
Cody?
those gentlemen.
Cody. Phil Cody's on the Conservation Commission. And we had Sean Gaffney for a time, but he had to step down.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Bill.
You're welcome.
We'll keep this as an ongoing thing on the
Please.
agenda, and we can address it a little bit every meeting in some form.
That should be interesting.
Finalize capital improvements program rules. To be honest with you, I did not have time to do anything with that.
Do we have a meeting the 26th?
No.
No, you guys decided not to meet the day after Christmas.
Oh. I didn't see that noted on on our page, so I thought,
It's not listed for December.
oh, okay. That's fine.
I asked you guys back in October how you
Right.
wanted to handle it.
Yep.
So next meeting is January.
That's why you had your public
January
hearings
2nd.
tonight, so you didn't do it the 26th.
Ninth.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's-
Oh,
I'm looking at the list.
oh, no, that's application deadline.
Oh, okay, meeting, yeah, the ninth, I'm sorry. Just,
Your next meeting is January 9th.
Right.
work session. I was looking at the wrong column the other night.
So discuss proposed 2025 zoning amendments. I passed out some things.
Right here.
I have the understanding that wetlands is gonna be put off again.
Correct.
We had also decided to put off the ADU,
Yes.
Yes.
so the only one really up for consideration is the solar one for this year.
Correct.
Well, we've got a couple others here that, we've got the solar one. Right,
Yep.
and we've got two other small ones. One is this accessory living space. I think there's a need for a definition. The zoning board, there's,
Where's this? Oh,
this is the smallest
small
one
one.
here.
Yep, gotcha.
Can I just ask just the consistency, which one is gonna be first, so that we can keep it, I think everybody is confused with them, just shuffling. So you have, like, so amendment number 1 could be which one of them, you know what I'm saying? So that
Make that
come
the-
January, if somebody watches this meeting and listens to you discuss it, come January's public hearing, they will know number 1 could be whatever you decide. I just
Well-
asked it either.
We'll go amendment number 1 is the solar one.
So, wait a minute.
Well,
So, the solar one is
Amendment number 1.
correct, but it's a total
It's a total new,
new deal.
Yes.
Why don't we put amendment 1, 2, and 3 as whatever these others are clarifying? Because they're already in, you're adding a definition only to
For
accessory.
these two.
Right.
right.
So why don't we put those 1 and 2, and then 3 be solar and 4 be, I don't know, is this 4?
No, that's part of, that's some background information for this other one.
For this this
Yes.
variance, okay. All right. I think that would be more,
That's fine.
So, but why are we, I mean, we said at the last meeting, kind of what we had set, and now we're entertaining two more at,
These,
kind of somewhat the last minute.
these two more, at least the accessory living space one is adding a definition to language that's already used in zoning that there's no definition for.
Right, but I guess again, we, you know, if this had been last meeting, last month, then would have had an opportunity to know that this was going to come up right now at this meeting. And, you know, we made the decision as a board to do potentially, we were gonna do potentially the solar, potentially a wetland setback. There was going to be a discussion with conservation, a discussion with the energy committee, depending on meeting times. They may come to this meeting, there's supposed to be an invite to this meeting. But we have not ended up in that situation, and it seems contrary to what the board decided at the last meeting.
so then I rescind my order. And we go with solar first, and the other two are just subsequent policing of language.
Well, after tonight's meeting, maybe we should have a definition for, two units or
ADUs and duplexes.
duplexes.
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but again, it's the last meeting before the public
Okay.
hearing. I don't know, again, these may be the best things in the world, but to have them show up the meeting before, I mean, we've been talking since October of,
We've got 2 meetings in January that we have to finalize. We can police language on the first one in February, and then we're done, or is it the end of January we're done?
there's one meeting for edits, for substantial edits. The 2 meetings in January are substantial edits and
Finalize
typos.
this.
Yeah. So we are discussing
First meeting in
it
January would be
here.
the first public hearing on the zoning change. right?
January 9th, right, I
Right.
have to post it by 12/20, I have to post the first public hearing for the zoning amendments.
Correct.
1/9 hearing, 1/23 final.
Correct.
And the statutory dates are 1/15 and 1/27.
I believe, yes.
But let's do this solar thing first, and then we can talk about the others. That's okay?
That's good.
The only and again, it's not, it's new language. The discussions we had had at the last meeting was, you're going to put this together and send it out and talk to Energy Commission about it, or the Energy Committee.
This just got done, haven't I just talked to the Energy Committee yet? I can do that before the next meeting, and they're more than welcome to come at the next meeting.
Right, but that was supposed to be this meeting.
So it didn't happen.
And like, this is,
But it would be good to have the planning board input anyway before I talk to the solar committee. So I make sure I'm going in the right direction.
sure, but then if I don't disagree with the steps, but then that shouldn't be happening right before the meeting or the public hearing.
Do you know when their next meeting is, Naomi?
Who's?
The solar
Energy.
committee, energy committee,
I invited the chair in person a
tonight?
couple weeks ago, told him we would do it.
We have a solar
I don't
plant?
remember.
No.
They're not meeting again. They already had their meeting.
So you invited them for tonight?
Yeah, they're not meeting because Christmas is their meeting date. But when he came and picked up his mail, he met the day before Thanksgiving. I said to him, we were gonna start discussing a solar. And they met that Wednesday before Thanksgiving. That's when I talked to him and showed him where his mailbox was, because there was 2 pieces of mail for the energy commission.
I'm gonna repeat it just so it's in the microphone. Tia had a discussion with the chair, and, tell me where I get this wrong. Added chair, yeah, I guess just, thank you.
So the Energy Committee met the day before Thanksgiving, I don't remember the date, 26th, 27th of November. He came in on Wednesday because the clerk's office was closing at 4:30, and usually they meet on Wednesday so they can come in and don't have to have keys and the whole mess. So he came in at about a little before 5 and waited here for his committee. At that time, I showed him where the mailbox was and explained to him that we were going to be meeting on the 12th to start talking about a possible solar ordinance. It was just a conversation we had, so I didn't have anything to give him, but I told him on that day, but they're not meeting because their regular meeting night lands on Christmas Day, so they're not meeting for December. But I had nothing to share, but I shared an invite.
Thank you. And yeah, I guess I just want to be clear because I am raising objections. It's not to any particular amendment because I know nothing about the amendments. I guess that's my objection is seeing it for the first time right before when we talked about the solar one. That's fine. I totally agree. We should read through this, understand what the need is, but we have been talking 4 months about when's it's going to happen, and it's at the very last meeting is not ideal, in my opinion.
What was it? This was taken from something other than, it's all got a numbered system here.
No, it was put together because it's a whole new article. It's Article 38, so it was all put together. So each point it wasn't taken from anything.
Who came up with this?
I worked with a couple of community members to come up with it. Wasn't anybody else on the board, or any board for that matter.
I guess, are they, trying to avoid maybe naming names, maybe not, but, I mean, what kind of background are these folks? Like, it's always, it's good to know is it somebody who, I mean, I assume so, somebody like very pro-solar, is it somebody who,
Nobody from the solar industry. It was
Constr-
nobody,
yeah,
it was
or
nobody
like-
from the solar industry at all.
just a strong interest, somebody has them on their house, I guess, it's,
Yeah,
is an
it's-
electrical
it's-
engineer?
People have them
like-
on their house, but there's nobody associated with the solar industry.
Yeah, that's fine, but, I mean, again, like, an electrical engineer, for instance.
One was, yeah.
Okay. And that informs the questions of, like, well, how was 5 million watt capacity picked, for instance?
5 million watt capacity was picked because that's a state grant limits.
Okay,
A lot of these thresholds in here are based on state grant limits on commercial solar installations.
okay.
Same with the bonding requirements down the bottom, decommissioning and all that, that's.
So the only question I have is that we would need to add a definition of what a photovoltaic array is in our definition lines, in addition to this statement.
I agree.
And what are the decommissioning plan guidelines? Where do those come from? Who sets the standard for that?
That's,
Is that a state RSA pertaining to that, or is there a
I'm
guideline
not sure if it's
someplace?
an RSA.
Okay. And
Be
then,
developed and certified by a professional engineer, so.
correct. And then, do we have a definition of a performance bond? What that,
Yeah, we have,
is that in there?
In the zoning, no,
It says that it shall,
is that more of a planning?
shall secure.
But it's a rule of thumb we use as far as
Yeah, it's in your subdivision regs,
subdivision regs, okay?
you need a performance bond for roads.
So it's just a well-known definition that's not defined in
I don't know how
our
well
current
known,
zone, huh? Yeah. As well as the decommissioning bond. Those, I'm not trying to make it muddy, but I'm trying to be sure that we don't open ourselves up to having to pay for something that's not our responsibility.
that's why the bond,
Correct.
and to make sure that's why in 38.7, all the infrastructure is removed to 2 feet below the ground surface. So that when it's gone,
It's back to what it was.
the ground is usable for something.
So any cement piers and all that are all gone, and wiring and.
Yeah, the
So-
wiring's all buried less than 2 feet. I mean,
If-
it's mainly the piers that
Yeah, 18
may
inches
still be,
usually, yeah.
be there.
The piers, yeah.
Right.
I think,
The piers are probably down, gonna be down 4 feet.
Right, so it'll move.
should we have a reference to, that the planning board would approve based upon the review of X, our engineer, I'm not sure we're apt to give approval if all these things are met.
Say, in the town engineer.
We don't have, I have no idea what a decommissioning looks like for such a solar array. I don't know what it looks like to say it's 5 million watt capacity. What does that look like?
We have in all our regulations that, and we could certainly add in here that the planning board reserves the right to hire an independent engineer to review this stuff.
Excellent. Number 12. That way, it's clear to whoever might want to go through this process that they're not just gonna get a rubber stamp from us because we don't know what we're doing.
No, that's,
What would give people that idea?
What would give people, I don't know anything about solar.
That's,
I mean, I know people in our community and other communities got solar all over the place on their places and probably never got a permit for it.
Well, there's no,
You know?
yeah, we didn't have a permit required for it.
Right, I mean, but
So,
what's to
now-
prohibit me as a resident to go put a solar array on the side of my garage or on my roof of my garage? All by myself.
Nothing.
Oh, good.
it's not a commercial one, so it wouldn't be subject to this anyway.
Right.
What,
Oh, so it's, as long as it's non-commercial.
That's right, this is only for commercial
Okay.
solar arrays.
5 million watt capacity, how, that would be many acres,
Eversource
was
will
it?
be a bigger hurdle. Anything
Correct.
over 10,000 watts, Eversource is gonna put you through every knothole you've ever dreamt about,
Correct.
because we've already done.
That's
it.
if we're back serving them.
Right.
If we're not back serving anybody,
And you supply
Who's it?
yourself with it, you're
yeah,
gonna go.
who's it harming that way?
You still need permission and you still need inspections and things
Right.
like that.
But if you,
You'll have to get, yeah, you'll have to get electrical inspection and all that.
How big would this 5 million watt capacity, how big an area is that? Big, yeah, I believe you,
Well, I
but,
mean,
Yeah,
I
it's-
don't know what, it depends on the terrain, depends on, you know, what kind
Usually
of
about-
setup they set up.
20 acres, I think.
Yeah,
No,
it's like going to a lot of these, was the town of Washington, I don't think they're close to that, but they've got a giant solar array up by the landfill, transfer station to supply them.
well, I see them
mean,
here and there. But you're saying that's just a state regulation that we,
Yeah,
5 is the limit.
yeah, you go by,
could you limit it to something less than that? Or really not? Who prevails?
whoever's usually the way they interpret it in the law is whoever is the stricter of the two is the one that prevails.
So we don't really have to go with the 5 million,
And you could say two, you know.
because it's kind of a random number.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a vague,
The 5 million is a number that is backed up by something else, and not just us guessing at a number.
you know,
oh, what?
they get it backed up by whatever research they do.
By
on
the
it.
state, I mean, that's as large as you can put in with any kind of grants at all, so, and that, people don't build these things with no grants.
So I've done a first pass, I feel like I've still got a ton to dig into, but, 38.2, it says conditional use permit for a photovoltaic site, array site, I think that first site should be scratched. Should just say photovoltaic array site plan.
Yep.
And then 38.5, I had a question that says, existing woodland buffer or evergreen plantings that soften the view of the array shall be installed or maintained if visible from an existing residence or state town road. So 2 remarks on 38.5. One, I think it could be worded more clearly, because it sounds like existing woodland buffer shall be installed, but it's not gonna be installed. If it's existing, that would be maintained. So I think if it said existing woodland buffer or evergreen plantings, shall be maintained or, something, it's just something about, but it's not installed if it's existing though, is my point, is
Right,
just,
if you put it in the middle of 100 acres and it's 500 feet from the lot line where you're
Yeah.
putting it in, you can't see it anyway, but that's saying you can't cut those trees down, you gotta leave them so that,
right, no,
So,
but,
to answer your question, if you take and flip-flop maintained or installed, it
well,
answers-
it
it
still
answers
bother,
your
it still, to me, contradicts the word existing, so,
you,
it's,
I mean, the purpose tonight was to kind of bat this around a little bit, everybody can take it home, do whatever.
I mean, this is just a first pass. Yeah,
Exactly.
This is,
Yeah,
no, but
this
this type of stuff is a first pass. How do we define soften the view? Who gets to decide that? The person who is in the existing residence? Or if it's from the road, I mean, who, is it the person, how do we define soften the view?
Well, we could require different documents to prove that it softens the view. We could require some,
Well, same thing, but to prove to who? What is the definition of soften the view? Is the actual core of my second point with 38.5.
the reason why soften the view is used instead of obscure the
Obstruct
view,
yeah.
because depending on the site, they need exposure to the sun, obviously. So if it's something that is below the road, to hide it completely from the road, you may be blocking the sun of the thing.
Yeah, again, I'm not arguing
the other thing-
the reasoning or whatnot, I'm just arguing the definition. You know, how, is soften, oh, I've put, you know, one
We don't have
scraggly
soften-
little.
We don't have soften in our definitions, I guess.
That's my point, yeah, I think before, I think that should be
They-
sorted out.
You know, they also have the issue with, on town, well, state roads, is that they want some type of buffer, some type of plantings, for the simple fact that they've had so many complaints when they've put
Yeah.
these up about blinding the traffic.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
blinding
when the
motorists.
sun hits them,
It's
and
a-
they hit
Yeah,
them.
so I mean, that's a good point,
had
they
to
may
do-
have definitions
They
that
had
they
to do
borrow.
that at the airport for the fact that it was blinding the
Yeah.
aircraft when they
Yeah.
were coming in.
But no, I mean, it's a great point, because they may have the definitions that I'm hoping we can have, so that we don't, you know. 38.6, it seemed, that seems very broad to just totally exempt Article 28. I didn't know if that was like a temporary for the install, or if it's, I mean,
We can put some other language in, you have to define what that is.
I mean, if it's on their property and they gotta cross a wetland, they're gonna have to meet the requirements, and I don't believe that
Well-
those power lines that are gonna go across that can be done overhead, they'll have to be buried.
no, but that's my point, is 38.6 says they don't have to meet the requirements. It totally exempts them.
Well, I don't quite read that. Wetland crossings that are necessary for power lines and access road that support the Florida infrastructure shall be delineated on the site plan.
Yep, keep
Right.
going.
Wetland
Next sentence.
crossing for the voltaic array site shall be exempt from town of Ware ordinance. But if they're gonna, it may be from the ordinance, but it sure is not gonna be exempt from DES or anybody else that's gotta go across a wetland.
Right.
And they jump on that.
Okay, I mean, that's a reasonable,
Yeah, you're not gonna
You're not gonna
circumvent
be
the
exempt
wetlands
from everything,
permit.
you're not just gonna go plowing through the wetlands and say, I'm exempt because I'm putting in a solar array.
Right,
or
but if-
photovoltaic array.
but, yeah,
a
if that's the
technical
case,
term.
then would 38.6 make more sense? If the intent is to loosen it up to, for instance, the DES requirements, then perhaps it should say that, rather than like a blanket exemption. Yeah, not-
Or not even make an exemption,
I don't
just say
think
they
we
have to
have- yeah.
meet the DES
Don't make-
requirements.
Well, they have to anyway, we're not saying, there's no way
can't
we
give
can, we
blanket
can't
exempt-
affect that.
We can't give blanket exemptions.
Well, that's great, then you agree that 38.6 is somewhat,
They're just
It's
we can
exempt from-
exempt it from the town of Wares.
The town of
no,
Ware,
requirement.
no, I understand, that's exactly
And that's what
my,
it says.
that's exactly my point,
But it's
yeah.
not saying that it's exempt from the DES.
I'm
or
not
any of
arguing
those.
that at all.
So, I mean, they're not getting,
See, on 38.7, that's a 5-year outlook.
they have to, as prices escalate, they have to revise their decommissioning figures and adjust their bond.
Yeah? Every 5 years?
Yep,
it's, you know,
so if it costs $200,000 when they build it to decommission it, and 5 years later it costs $225,000, they have to increase their bond. So that at the end of it, at 40 years later, we're not stuck with a $200,000 bond, and it's $2 million to tear it out, and they say, okay, keep the bond.
And that was another, I was thinking about the 40 years, you know, a lot's gonna change in 40 years, and we hit,
That's why that, every
But it-
5 years they look at it.
but like with 38.4 saying permitted for no more than 40 years, you know, what if 40 years from now, we have some magic gizmo that you just go over there and you spray this stuff on 40-year-old arrays and they are
They'd have to
rejuvenated?
re-permit it.
Yeah. Okay, so it could be permitted,
It could be re-permitted.
okay, great. Okay,
Yeah, including extensions.
right, well, I guess that was my problem, was permitted for no more than 40 years, including extensions.
Right, so at 40 years, they're, if they want to keep it, it's new permit.
right.
Okay. 38.8, It says, "The owner of the photovoltaic array shall bear all costs for the decommission plan and subsequent updates." I think I'd like to be specific. Are those updates to the plan? Or are they updates, any cost updates? I don't know the answer. Whichever one it is, I think it should spell it out, like, and subsequent updates to the plan.
Well, who owns it, the landowner or whoever set the?
Depends.
Usually the land, on these commercial ones, usually the landowner doesn't own it,
They're leasing
they're
the
getting
property.
lease money from the company that owns
Some of
it.
them are conglomerates that put them in, and then the landowner usually gets a lease. A friend of mine.
Sometimes a conglomerate's buy the
So,
land.
can
but
we
not-
add-
Take them in and he's got a piece of property.
To the
out there.
plan for 38.8? Just to be consistent,
How's that now?
to add to the end of the sentence, to the plan.
Subsequent updates to the plan?
You're gonna add any before subsequent?
Yes.
In 4 years, just for a 5 million watt capacity system, they may only need half the footprint that they have now.
Technology may change it, but they.
Yeah, and they may change the capacity by then too.
Right.
So this is still a fluid, like every part of our zoning, it's fluid. It's not something set in stone, it can be adjusted or amended or.
3811, it says, "The decommissioning bond shall be executed if the photovoltaic array decommissioning actions has not been started." That should say have not been started.
But commenced, instead of been started or something.
Or just have instead of has.
That's good.
Do I hear any aids or what is?
It's the vacuum.
Oh. Say, wow.
That's all I see just on a first pass.
Yeah, I mean, take it home, take a look at it. We can make all kinds of adjustments to it next meeting. We're not limited to what we change next meeting.
We gotta start though.
Yeah. And I'll get a hold of the Energy Committee between now and then, the chairman.
You got an email on the website?
Okay.
Did you take notes on what you're making changes?
Yeah, I did. These other two, although we haven't discussed them in the past, we typically make zoning adjustments to definitions and things as they come up over the year. I know that the word accessory living space is used in Article 4, but there's no definition for it. And the ZBA has, in the recent past, had some issues with how people are defining it, because there's no definition for it.
You said it appears where already?
Article 4,
Well,
Thank you.
well, no, I'm sorry, Article 4 is, it was the, I'm sorry, it appears
You used 19110.
19-110. Yeah. Special exceptions. page 26.
What page are you?
26. Article 19.1.10.1. It says, "An accessory dwelling unit shall be clearly incidental to the primary use of the property for single dwelling, and such accessory living space," which is what this is a definition of, accessory living space, "shall not exceed 750 feet." So there's been some interpretation issues with that. How do you get to that 750 feet? So the cleanest way to do it that I surmised was to define accessory living space.
What you're saying sounds reasonable. I'm just, it's taking me a second to like, I'm trying to like, I need a picture or something.
Yeah. So the way I'm describing it here, it is, because there's another typo in that, but I didn't want to change that. I wanted to keep this as simple as I possibly could. Because it says 750 feet. It really should say square feet, but I
Correct.
didn't want to get into that. That's why I put here, I put shall mean that space, and I put in parentheses square feet,
Yep.
within the conditioned envelope. So it's within the insulated exterior walls of the
Great.
building, of the accessory dwelling unit. It shall not include exterior wall, the thickness of the wall from the interior face of the wall to the exterior. So if you've got a 6-inch wall, or if you've got a partly exposed foundation and the wall has to be a foot thick, which I had that problem in my house when I built my accessory dwelling unit. I didn't want to penalize the people for the wall thickness. That's the only wall thickness they can deduct,
That makes sense.
is the insulated wall around the outside of the building. But it includes all conditioned space, bathrooms, hallways, closets, anything that is within the accessory dwelling unit. It shall not include areas in common with the main dwelling unit, such as shared entryways, hallways, or stairways. So it's space dedicated for that accessory dwelling unit inside the heated building envelope.
Yeah, so the 750 is within the envelope, not including the envelope.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds reasonable. What?
I know there was a
what-
case recently where
I don't
they
know.
deducted a bathroom because they said that's not living space.
They did, sorry, again, I'm having trouble doing this on the fly, I apologize. They
No, no,
deducted the
and-
bathroom, so they said it was 750.
But they said, well, the bathrooms and hallways don't count, that's not living space. And the ZBA bought it. So they granted a special exception based on deducting those things out.
Okay. And you're specifically saying the bathroom should be included?
Yes.
And hallways, yeah, I mean, that sounds reasonable. Okay,
So it's the outside dimension, less wall thickness.
Right,
So it's a square box, just,
What's the interior dimension?
yeah, the
Yeah,
interior
what-
dimension. But, but in any, everything inside, the interior walls, closets, bathrooms, hallways, that's all part of the heated living space, so that's all part of it.
so is there anything that this excludes? I'm trying to
Now, the only thing it
think on the
excludes
flyer.
is common areas with the,
I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know.
decks and stuff like
Like,
that on
yeah,
inside,
sure,
on
crawl
inside the envelope,
space,
so
I
that they
don't
don't count.
Yeah, right.
Crawl
Right,
spaces,
so-
usually installations underneath the floor, not in the crawl space.
I'm trying to poke holes in it, because that's how we make it, so it can't be
tight.
So it's
built
not
later.
inclusive,
Right.
so if this was above an attached garage, it's only the space above the attached garage, it's not inclusive of the garage.
Right, and if they got knee walls that are insulated, it's to the knee wall, not,
Yeah.
not all the way to the roof
To
line.
the-
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So that will fall under 4.1 to,
by definition, yeah.
as far as definition is concerned.
So you're saying it doesn't include decks?
No, it's only heated space. So if you got a handicap ramp outside, it's covered, that doesn't include that.
Now, what would you do? So at a previous house, the knee walls had doors in them, and it was attics, it was like closets.
Right.
Half closet, half attic space.
But-
So a closet's included, but,
But if that wall's insulated, and that's the heated envelope,
yeah,
I'm not counting cold storage.
sure.
which, I mean, you say it's a closet, but it's really, it's not heated, so it's more like cold storage.
Yeah, it should have been better insulated, yeah.
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 Again, you can bat this around if you come up with anything that you see, maybe, I'm not saying this is, cast in stone, whatever, it's a starting point.
It's a good, helpful definition.
And I think it would help, give the ZBA some guidance on what the
Well, especially if,
is.
as our previous questionnaire, that's not a lot of space if it's inclusive of the exterior.
Yeah, when you take, even a 6-inch wall,
It's a foot off the whole perimeter.
right, which adds up fast. And the next one is, and that's why I printed this out too, this is the state RSA. Kind of deals with that. Our zoning is silent on how long variances and special exceptions are good for. The state RSA 674:33. Under one, about halfway down the page, top third of the page, I guess. 1A, in parentheses A, says variance is authorized under paragraph 1, which is how all our variances are authorized, shall be valid if exercised within 2 years from the date of final approval. So by state RSA, a variance is good for 2 years. I think that's why ours zoning is silent, because this 2-year limitation is in the state RSA. Or as further extended by local ordinance or by zoning board of adjustment for good cause. Well, we don't have anything in our zoning ordinance that would further extend it by local ordinance. So if people want to extend variances or special exceptions, they have to go to the ZBA and give them another time to review the variance or special exception to determine if it should be granted again for a good cause. And the other part is, provided that such variance shall expire within 6 months of a possible planning application. So if somebody goes in for a wetlands crossing and it's part of a subdivision plan, and the variance is only good for 2 years, but the subdivision plan is good for 4 or 5 years, and they can get extensions on that, then the variance doesn't expire until 6 months after that subdivision plan is either expired or done. So it does tie them to other permits. So,
Is there talks about on your proposed statement that they can automatically be granted a 2-year extension? Is that the limit? Or are we gonna limit that to only 2 more
no.
years? Or are we gonna say for the next 75 years, as long as you're doing it 2-year increments, 30 days ahead of time, you're
well, as long
good?
as the landowner doesn't change. I've got a thing in here, so, the original
Yeah,
landowner is the only one that can do
right,
it.
Right.
So it can't be something that gets passed down for 3 generations. I mean, that's the way I wrote it here. If you guys have other ideas, that's.
And I have to come in.
I think at first glance, again, I do need to digest a bit, but at first glance, it seems to remove the intent of 1AA, where they do expire and need review. You know, if things have changed, if, you know, I don't know, a new road, whatever. The automatic approval seems like it will bypass one of our checks and balances by going around the ZBA.
Now, the reason why the state did that was previously, before 2013, there were variances and special exceptions were, could have been granted with no time restriction whatsoever. So there was a whole method listed in here, how to start imposing a time restriction. You had to post something for a year, and then you gave them 2 years from there. So it was like a 3-year period that they had to do something back then, but that's long expired, because that wasn't,
Yeah, it says 2013.
yeah, but I think,
On both sides of the table.
but that was, I think they adopted that part in 22 or something like that. There's some reference in here to,
Any adoptions on the very bottom, and it gives you,
yeah,
every time it was checked.
effective August of 22.
Right.
I mean, sometimes life gets in the way, health problems, marriage problems, 2 years flies. So,
I think it, I'd like to change that shall to may. So it's not.
Which, oh, I see it.
Landowner original is listed on the original application, may be granted automatic 2-year. May be granted 1 automatic 2-year extension.
I think you would have to then, because the next sentence is, shall not require butter notices or further review by the ZBA, so in what situation would the may apply?
yeah, you'd have to define the, kind of that situation, right? Yeah.
Well, doesn't the other, the reference you made to 1A,
Yeah, I agree with.
it says that by the zoning board of adjustment for good cause.
I agree with you, that when you put, to take out the word shall, because when you say shall, that's binding. If you put may, then it's not, because if you leave that in there, and then they say, oh, no, we're not gonna give you the extension, it says you shall give me the extension, you'll end up in
Because they
court
have to
over that.
request, either way, they have to request it.
They have to request it, but if they request it and it's given,
But this, but
it says you
there's,
shall, upon request, you shall be given an extension, okay?
but there's no recourse here for, like, what part of the town would say,
You'd have
no,
to-
we're gonna invoke the may, you won't get the shall.
How about,
You have to go to
So
ZBA.
then-
But it
These
says in
extensions-
the next sentence, shall require
Take out-
no further review by the
Take
ZBA.
out the shall.
But then you have to remove the next sentence.
right,
Take out the shall on both of them and say they,
Well-
maybe
well-
you have to go for review. Doesn't necessarily mean that you do. I mean,
I mean,
there's
I
been
like, I
ones
like
here
a
in town
concept
where I saw
of,
the
like,
ZBA
streamlining, but,
gave the variance, and then they said, wow, we had this issue, that, and,
how about
we'd
if we
like an
did something like
extension.
this? How
Gave
about
it
if,
to 'em.
how if we did, the first one, extension, would be a shall, then additional extensions may be granted
That's a good, I like that.
Well, it depends on
at
whether
the
or not.
discretion
you
of the
know,
ZBA or something.
I still think that it should be may, because what if they don't come in with a valid reason for the,
yeah.
because they just decided they took their sweet time.
Yeah, I think you were starting to pick at it, Pastor Bill, about the good cause. I wish we could better define that part of it and explain, hey, ZBA, like, these are the situations that you should be granting these.
Well, I think then you're putting it down, because how come then somebody's gonna come in and say, well, why is this not, I have a marital issue and it was going through a problem of a property, so how come that's not good enough?
Yeah.
I don't think you should divine it that way. I think you
Yeah.
should, it has to be done case by case, and if not, you're setting yourself up for a real big, another lawsuit.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You're gonna
Well-
go hit these landmines, and then you're gonna sit there and go, okay, in 20 years from now, being on the Board of Selectmen, because you decided to do that, they're gonna call you back from wherever you are, if you're still walking above ground, and they're gonna it's called vicarious liability, and you'll be on the back end of it,
Yeah,
so.
not the only one.
No, but I can stand up for the decisions I made sitting on the board. But there's a lot of people that may not be able to do it, but that's the thing. So if you set these landmines and
Right.
then you step on one of them,
So if we
legal
put,
bills will be
if we put
extraordinary.
shall or may or whatever, it's still, are we still of the mind that this is an automatic renewal?
Well, you can't,
Is
if
that-
it's May, it wouldn't be automatic.
It wouldn't be automatic.
Correct.
They have to come.
So
in
that
and
means
show
there
cause.
needs to be a means by which,
You're taking it case by
any,
case.
anyways, the application would still need to be submitted to the ZBA
Right.
Right,
for an extension,
right.
whether we say shall or not.
With the
At which
may,
point,
that
what
way
is, what does this even do?
That way, it's not a rubber stamp that they shall give that extension. They
So
give it.
if we want to leave it the way it states, I put the word "one" between granted and automatic. They can
I would just
continue
say
to
grant-
appeal that later,
I would
after another 2 years if they want to.
I wouldn't say automatic. I would just say granted one
Yeah.
two-year
I could
extension.
cross out the word automatic, fine, too, yeah. I mean, that was, I don't know.
So shall is gonna remain there.
For the first one.
Oh, okay.
Then it,
And it shouldn't be variance of special extension, okay.
I could add a sentence on the end saying additional extensions may be granted by the ZBA for good cause or on case-by-case basis or something.
Yeah. Any additional extensions beyond the first 2-year beyond the first extension needs to be approved by.
On the other hand, if you're gonna have an automatic 2-year extension, why not just give them 4 years?
I don't think we can.
Oh,
I think this RSA limits it to 2 years.
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, variances
Which,
authorized under
you know,
paragraph one
it-
shall be valid if exercised within 2 years of the date
I don't
of
think we
final
could, we
approval.
could make it shorter, but I don't think we'll make it longer.
No, you can't, you can make it
And,
shorter.
and as a matter of fact, I got in here, it can't be less than 6 months, so I mean, they anticipate towns are gonna make it shorter.
Yeah.
So the last one, I think it made sense to have some discussion. This one, it's still, there's something about it that I think, I wish,
Well, we're still in discussion mode,
no, I
right?
know, but I guess my problem is, we're discussing, what are we gonna put in front of people saying we are doing this? And if we go a little half-baked, I think, we've talked pretty well about the solar and the accessory living space. We feel confident backing a discussion on those. But can we be confident in saying, hey, we're ready to get, a gallery full of folks at the podium? Have we, at the very next meeting?
I think,
We usually, in the past, any zoning changes that we've proposed, prior to having the public hearing, we usually send a copy to town council for a review.
But then doesn't that mean we need to have finalized it?
No, just the concept, we run the concept by town council and see if it's
Okay.
Yeah, they gotta weigh in on it to make sure that it's
Right.
legal before it goes before the vote. You don't wanna find out after the fact. It's,
I don't think anybody's arguing that.
I mean, we do that every year. We, like at this point, we get the, what we have proposed together, and it's always been, you know, we're not looking for specific, make sure all the wording is exact right now. We're looking for approval of the concept.
Concept, yeah.
And if you have any additions or wording that you think should be changed, then they
And
send
and
notes.
a lot of times, they'll come back with some
They may come back with changes,
suggestions.
or they may say scrap it.
Yep, they may say, here's some changes, get rid of it, don't do it.
So,
It's happened more than once.
that would be, I would suggest that we do with these three.
Well, I think you have to get input from the public, because
Yeah, I'd rather,
if you end up changing it at your public hearing, then you're gonna send it back a second time?
Yeah, send it once.
Just saying. You do what you want. I don't know what to say.
So what can we do at the second meeting in January? We only can change punctuation.
You're gonna get input, then you're gonna have a final public hearing. You can add a period and a dot here, and that's about
but
it.
That's what I'm asking.
at the next meeting, we can review and get input and adjust things completely.
They give you some suggested wording that you like better.
Right, from the public, yeah.
I think what you're talking about is 2 reviews though, if you're doing it this way.
Well, based on what I've seen, the public input will be almost nil.
No, you'll have people.
Huh?
You'll have people.
Yeah, we always get people
Yeah.
show up at the public hearing.
This is their only time to talk about it.
Yeah, the zoning changes don't get discussed at town meeting.
No, that's right.
We still can take and submit it after the first meeting in January, right, to town council?
If you're not comfortable, I would suggest you run it by them to see if it's even legal. I mean,
Right.
you're trying to tie things together.
We can do a Google search on what other towns do too, right?
Yep,
Yeah,
mean-
especially on the solar arrays, a lot of towns.
you can take these, do some homework on them. We got a month to,
Somebody gave us a solar array,
Yeah, Danny Jean gave you.
yeah, I saw that there.
that was
Charlestown, yeah.
pretty cumbersome.
That one was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bosquen has one.
But, yeah,
W-
trying to think who else has one.
I like the KISS method better. Keep it simple, stupid. Right?
Yep.
It's worth a look. It's worth a look. at legal.
Yeah. And it can't take them that long to just say, yeah, it's a good idea, or no, it doesn't pass muster. We won't discuss these anymore, or we?
Yeah, no,
My
I,
brain's toast.
yeah.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
No, I think I was just gonna repeat myself. The third one, it still feels a little soft for me personally, but, pretty, definitely comfortable talking about the other two. But it's just me.
Minutes, I know we got a new minute taker of the town is, Tyler's gonna be starting, working on minutes, and
But we're still, the collective we is still responsible for the backlog.
yeah.
So that was one of the notes I had come in, was what is the plan for the backlog of September 26th through November 14th? That was 4 meetings. Really, we have to capture motions made and vote totals.
It'll be done next time.
What are we not sending or sending? We just stopped discussion on this. Are we sending the first time, or what are we doing? I know we just stopped discussion, but what's the plan?
Can we, I mean, I know how the selectmen feel about spending money on town attorney, but I mean, what's it gonna take to get them to just take a look at it and say it's passed the blush test?
Well, I just need to know, because I don't want to be sitting here and wondering what we're doing. That's all I'm asking.
She wants to know what we want her to do.
Yeah. We're backed up against the one chance we have to edit.
I mean, we could hold off till after the next meeting and just pass off something a little more refined, or we could give them this to just say yea and nay.
Which one are you so worried about? All of them?
I'd run the three of them by them. I mean, that's what we normally do. But if it was just one, maybe that last one, have run that one by him.
I think,
We feel comfortable with the first two, you mean?
I think the first two are a little more,
Developed?
yeah,
like, we're going to want legal opinion on all of them at some point.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer. What I'm thinking right now is hold off, get the public opinion, and then, because we may decide to,
scrap one or two or whatever.
right,
Yeah.
who knows? And then, because that's part of my thinking is, if we decided to scrap at least one, then we've wasted money on the lawyer having reviewed that one. Then it's tough, because maybe the lawyer provided input to make it where it didn't need to be scrapped, but we can't know that.
Right.
So,
So if we wait till after the 9th, the next meeting, we can't make any changes.
You can pull it, though.
We can just pull
If it's,
it.
if it's, if it's,
If it's gonna be if it's not gonna be legal or binding or whatever, you can pull it. We did pull something last year.
Right.
so that's the backstop. If legal has anything to be worried about,
big issues.
pull it, have a year to review it and re-implement.
Right, which is why we pulled the wetlands one.
Well, yeah.
Seems reasonable.
So we'll wait till after the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Just need to know.
Okay.
Other business?
Is there any place in time that we should petition the powers that be that we should have a stipend? Not for us personally, but for the
A
committee
budget for the
work.
committee, you mean, like, type of a line item for the committee?
Yeah.
Yes. If we do, I mean, you brought up the mailings. It comes out of the town's regular, executive,
You asked for a stipend?
yeah,
Not for us, no, I mean a budget
budget item. Yeah, I mean,
yes, I used that word stipend.
yeah,
That's what you said.
It's not what I meant, though.
yeah, to get some type of budget. I
You mean
mean,
to make-
I know that
Copies and print stuff out and mail stuff when needed?
in training.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how, when Kelly was in the office, I don't know who paid for all that stuff that we received.
This is land use budget.
Land use budget. I mean, I know that.
So is that
training, if
where
you
our
wanted to go to a
thing
training,
comes
was that-
under? Is that's our bailiwick?
It would be-
Bailiwick is under land use? Is that where our money would technically come from?
That include trainings and.
I don't have the budget with me either. Yeah, I was prepared. I wasn't
Yeah.
prepared to talk about budget.
I grabbed the whole stack of everything. So,
Yeah, you brought up a valid point with the
Okay, pass the
mailings, like for
engineering, there's nothing.
$5,000, I mean, What is it now? Post office just went up, was it 79 cents a stamp or something?
Printing is zero,
Yeah, no, mailing, you get quite a discount.
$2,000.
What's that?
for-
You don't pay first-class mail.
Flashed.
Yeah, you do.
'Cause it has
Huh?
one
You
use.
Yeah,
do?
but when you mail something like that,
When you use dues.
it's, more than 4 pages, it's more than a stamp.
There's your postage.
A stamp will cover 4 pages, 19 pound
$100.
paper.
And that's when we asked kind of across the board postage to be given a second glance.
And where it just went up.
Because there are
you know,
postage lines like
basically postage is
everywhere, so how
79
can we,
I think it just went up to
how can we
79
line these up
cents,
better?
89 cents, something like that.
That's pretty high.
Did that answer your question? No?
There's nothing in there that falls under our jurisdiction of use. I mean, there's postage that gets done for, alerting butters and that type of thing.
That's an offset.
Yeah, but
But
all
that's
that's,
only $1,500, and that's not enough to,
yeah, and that 15,
consider.
that's like a placeholder, because we get it back from the applicants.
Right.
It shows up on the revenue side.
Yeah,
right, right.
That's right.
You
I mean, that's why we were leaning towards putting in the tax bill, because it's, all we're paying is for copies, not,
Yeah, how did we do that with the recycling flyer last year?
Yeah, we ran the copies here.
Yeah.
Then
Do
we
you know-
folded them and stuck them in the tax bills with the tax bills.
right,
It's easier, it's the easier way of doing it, you're right.
right,
That also gives us a hard deadline, so
correct,
that it doesn't keep slipping.
Your
Correct.
deadline would be by Memorial Day, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
May
And I don't think
1st,
that's a bad idea.
right. But as long as the document has clear reference to, this is how you can accomplish this.
Yes.
Yeah, they'd be,
All right, so I'll take my stipend off the table.
I thought that's what you said.
I did.
didn't know if I heard you.
Stipend.
Well, as a committee, not to be paying us, but to have a budget, I mean, because how do you implement? Yeah, yes, we go to zoning, but now we're looking at, how do we implement a master plan whereby, based on information, we have this course of action? And it costs something
it'll cost something to get there, absolutely.
to get there, right?
Yeah.
So who's footing that bill? I mean, I was part of 2003, 2004 whole thing. And we knew Southern New Hampshire came in and led the whole thing. It was all volunteers, but there was food involved, there was, space involved at John Stark, whether it was donated or who had to pay for it, I don't know. And all those people who coordinated all those pieces got paid.
Yeah, Southern New Hampshire.
They got paid, but
Gets
all the
paid.
population of it, because there was like, what, 202.25 people there, something like that. So it was a fairly decent sized amount of people who came. And then we broke up into various groups to address these categories. And out of those categories came part of the vision component. And that's all that whole meeting was to look at the vision aspect. Because then the survey came out after the fact. But it's, again, I think, I don't know how much was spent, 10, 15 grand for that whole process? And we're trying to accomplish that.
On a song.
Yeah. If you go through it again, it's probably gonna cost you 3 times that because of the cost of things.
Right,
change.
I mean, I think we've gone down that road. Yes, we could hire Southern New Hampshire to help us, but we have been unsuccessful in 2 opportunities to get funding.
Yeah, the voters
And
turned it down.
even when that, in 2018, when that subcommittee was established, they met 3-4 times, I think it's still on the website. And didn't go anywhere because they didn't have funding.
And, yeah, I mean, this is a mandated thing that we're supposed to be doing, this master
Right,
plan,
right.
by law.
So that's the only reason I ask about whether we should have some type of fund or some type of assistance or with clear guidelines,
Well, the worst thing that can happen is you get turned down, so just go for it.
Yeah.
Put it as a, put it in an article for a stipend.
Secretary, just for the secretary.
Maybe you'll get this, maybe, what do you think?
You have to base this amount on something.
I know, but I don't know what. I don't know, I mean, I'll have to go and research to see what other communities are doing for budgeting for planning board. You know, speaking with Craig, there was one community he's working for, they got 3 town planners.
Yep.
Whole office just for town planning.
Go to New Boston.
Would that have, they have that?
They're half the size we are, yeah. The town hall is
go
10
to-
times the
I mean-
size of us.
You know, a lot of these bigger towns, they got engineers all over the place.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyways, I move we adjourn. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I had one last quick thing, just so that, because we talked about finalizing the CIP earlier, I was in no rush to get it done. I'm not sad that we didn't get to it, but, should we pick even a month for,
I'm gonna try to get that worked on for next meeting.
next meeting, or like after the public hearing?
After the
Like-
public
Like
hearings.
February?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, again, I'm in no rush, except to get it
Is
done
there a
ahead of the
deadline for
next
that?
CIP, but
Yep.
just so it doesn't fall
I
off.
just want, we got 3 things there off the table. So can I just have a minute? So, I just was trying to find fast. So, you guys, the town of Ware pays dues to Southern New Hampshire Planning, so I was trying to figure out what we get for dues. And they do offer, and I'm happy to send an email, is what kind of assistance they can provide us for our dues money. Well, that, I guess I could, that doesn't cost anything but an email. But you may find there could be some sort of help and assistance, gathering information. Do you have somebody that's gonna do the Survey Monkey?
I don't know that for sure.
We collectively, at least Phil,
Phil.
yeah, we kind of looked
Okay.
at it and looked at,
Sure,
a
sure.
free tier.
Because they offer a
probably
brochure,
gets
I
us
just
by.
quickly couldn't find it. It just says what assistance can they provide, what we do for your dues. So I'm more than happy to just ask them what we could get
Yes,
for our
please.
dues. I mean, we pay dues to Southern New Hampshire Planning based on per capita, so.
Well, they're not gonna give you money of it.
No, but they could
They'll give you
provide,
services.
provide assistance or service as part of our dues.
Right.
Because you pay dues, it's in the budget. You'd pay it with municipal
Yeah, I guess they did the, transportation survey. So it would be nice if we could write up, we're happy with this, and then they send it out, or maybe not send it out, but
That would
build
work
the,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, that did, that's what we.
Because you don't wanna let them help you make the survey, because you won't like it.
I can check enough for you, Bill.
Please.
I will not interrupt your, motion to adjourn a second time.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?